Hey everyone, welcome to the Story Builder podcast. I am thrilled to have Flint Maxwell return, my very first ever return guest on the Story Builder podcast. This is a special episode where we're going to focus on horror. And Flint, welcome. You, as a horror novelist, are the man that I
Oh,
have to talk to about
thank
horror.
you.
So let's dive in. And what are some of your favorite horror stories? And I know you prefer actually horror movies, so we can gladly go that direction.
Yeah, I think lately I've been more of a movie guy, but oh geez, there's so many. Uh, I did write. I do have a list. I mean, you know,
I love it.
I was working on that earlier today. So like horror movies, all-time classics. Not no order, right? Like no first or
Mhm.
but like The Exorcist,
Okay.
all-time classic. The Thing, which I watched last night, which I've seen it a million times, but I watched it last night. The Shining, obviously, for me, obviously. Psycho, Jaws. I think Scream is a classic. I think Nightmare on Elm Street is a classic. I mean, I have a lot of, I have a lot of on this list. But I'm just trying to. Blair Witch Project. Did I say that already? I think
No, no, you haven't, but yeah, yeah, sure.
that's so effective. It's such an effective movie. Um, Like more recent, I think The Conjuring is, I don't know if it's a classic, but it's close. Like I love it. I think it's really scary and but it's not like it's accessible, because there's a lot of like horror out there that is just, a little too much for a general movie-going audience.
Right?
Um, I think like I think the It miniseries from I think 1990. That movie completely messed me up. I might have talked about that when I was on the
I
podcast
think
first
you
time.
did. I think you
Yeah.
did. I know you're not
So
alone in that one.
so that's a classic for me. And then then you have like the movies where it's kind of like is it thriller or is it horror? And I think like Seven is one of those where Seven's pretty
Yeah.
disturbing, but it's wrapped up in a police detective mystery kind of deal.
Right.
Uh, well, there's another one I think. Oh, Signs by M.
Ooh,
Night
yeah.
Shyamalan. Yeah, that movie. See, I also saw it when I was
Right.
younger, and it really stayed with me. So yeah, that's those are about.
That's
Well,
a great list. You've got a lot of the bases covered there.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to add the original Night of the Living Dead and the original Dawn of the Dead. Those
Okay.
are absolute classics. Um, the remake of Dawn of the Dead is great, but
Yes, Zack Snyder.
I prefer the original from like I think it's from 78 or something. It's pretty old. The
That
first
sounds right.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Night of the Living Dead's like 68 or 67 or something. It's like super old. Well, not
Wow.
super old, but
Still considering, yeah, 50
yeah.
years old. That's pretty.
Yeah. And then, recently this year, uh, after he passed away, I got into David Lynch's films.
Mhm.
And, I didn't think of him as horror, really. But I knocked out a bunch of his movies, but like there's one called Eraserhead, which I think was his first film.
Hmm.
That is one of the most disturbing movies I've ever seen in my life. Like it was great. It, it was just one long nightmare. Um,
Right.
I don't know if I'd ever watch it again though. Like I
Right.
would buy it. I don't know if I'd own like the Blu-ray or whatever, but I don't know if I'd pop it in because it's yeah.
So much. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, it's whoa. Yeah, it's surreal. Yeah,
There
but
are
yeah,
so many that just stick. And there's like one or two scenes, or maybe a tone or an atmosphere. And it's like they just stick with you.
yeah,
And more recently, I know because I got to see it with you, The Long Walk.
yeah. That
And
great.
like, I feel like that's so close to being thriller, but it also has a lot of that horror element. And for you, is it mainly the gore, or do you think it's a tone thing too that really makes you move from, okay, this is a thriller here, over here, when we get to this area, that becomes a horror.
Yeah, I think it's the tone. I don't think it's the gore because like if you look at like a Quentin Tarantino movie, those are disgustingly violent and like cartoonishly bloody, and I wouldn't call any of his stuff horror or even close to horror. But so like with The Long Walk, yeah, The Long Walk, I think the premise alone is horror, right? Basically,
Right.
walk or die.
Till you die. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, I think it's a tone thing, definitely, and that's a lot. It's easier to you know decipher that or discern that in films. Like I think books are different, unless you're just straight up going for the horror. You're like, a bloody zombie on the cover, then you
Right.
getting you know what you're gonna get into.
Right. Salem's Lot, something like that, where it's
Yeah,
like explicitly so.
yeah.
Yeah. I, a couple years ago, I read the book Requiem for a Dream, which that movie. I mean, that movie is
That's another one I don't ever want to watch again.
right.
But it was
I see.
great.
It's great, but
Yeah.
it's like wow. Well, I read the book, and I would say in some ways the book is more intense than the movie, and like it's really a horror story where the addiction is a character, and it's just so intense. Um, I would definitely call that one horror, but it's also like what you can't push that in a genre cleanly and be like, well,
Yeah.
it's drug horror or addiction
Yeah.
horror or whatever. Um,
Then you
it's
start making
not.
up new genres, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly, and that's kind
it's
of
psychological horror. Which is a thing, I guess, but what's the difference between that and a psychological thriller? I guess like I know
yeah.
there is a difference, but like
It's very like you said. I think tone. So when we say tone, I mean, I guess let's dig into that a little bit more. More dreadful.
yeah.
Death is very present.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the nature of horror, or maybe if not death, like creepy, supernatural, eerie kind of tone.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not death, but maybe it's almost like being scared to death,
Yeah.
in like a ghost situation, right? With supernatural, it might not be just you straight up die. It might be you get possessed or haunted or, you know, traumatized or all those
Yeah.
things, right? So
Yeah.
I have to say, on this topic, it's like it brings me back to Edgar Allan Poe, because I remember like seeing and reading, like I saw the physical presentation of The Fall of the House of Usher
Oh, nice.
at the
Oh, that was
Civic
cool.
Theater, and it was
Oh, yeah.
crazy. It was wild. I was like, "Whoa, this is nothing like anything I've ever seen before. This is really cool." And then I read it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like even the trees are creepy in that short story.
Oh, yeah.
Even the house is like groaning, and it's like, Roderick Usher is just really creepy and scary and mysterious and all this, and it's like it's uh it's just that tone of like dread. It's like as the narrator gets closer to the house, like he even feels it. It's like palpable.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a good example where it's like you can't not sense it when it's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, he's an icon for a reason. He knew what he was doing. Yeah.
Just a tad dark, huh?
Yeah.
Just a
Yeah.
little.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would, I read a few of his stories last Halloween. I haven't read any this Halloween, but I usually try to. And I remember thinking like, wow, this is a lot. Like it was a lot more, dreadful than a lot of the stuff, the stuff nowadays, like in book story. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's timeless. That's kind of crazy. Like what are we 200 years ago? Over 200,
Yeah.
18
Yeah.
1800s or mid
Yeah.
1800s or something. Crazy.
It's wild to think like how much more he could have made, but he passed away
Yeah,
pretty young and
yeah,
tragically, and he so much like his entire life was just surrounded by death. It's like, well, I wonder why he wrote about
yeah.
that.
True. Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So you got obviously King as a huge influence.
Yes, I love Stephen
King
King.
has
I do.
tons and tons and tons of horror stories. You mentioned The Shining
Hmm.
and then It.
Hmm.
Are you leaning more toward the Kubrick Shining or the actual Stephen King Shining?
Well, so that's what's difficult with Stephen King, especially, as I wasn't around while he was putting out those classics. So I came into the game late where I had seen these movies and these adaptations, and then I started reading them, right? So like I loved the Shining movie before I loved the Shining book,
Sure.
and it's way different as well. Like, uh, so I think I prefer the movie, but that could change depending on the day. But if we're talking I love the book more than any of the adaptations. Although I have not seen the new show that came out on Sunday,
Yeah, it just like
so
just released.
yeah, so maybe I like that better. I think Stephen. So the problem with Stephen King is he's just so popular, so it's like
Mhm.
hard not to know his creations. Like, I had heard of Annie Wilkes before I had heard of Misery, or I'd
Right.
heard of, Cujo. Like, my mom would always say growing up, if there was like a dog barking its head off, she'd say like, "Calm down, Cujo." So I had always heard that, and oops, sorry. Um,
That's funny.
yeah. So he was just everywhere, and so. But I do prefer the Shining movie over the book. But I do love the book. Don't get me wrong there. The
Right.
book's great. Yeah, it's really really well written. Like it feels very literary as opposed to some of his other stuff back then, because those
Mhm.
were his wild days, and
Yeah.
he was kind of just you know he is.
He, he was
Yeah,
doing lots of things.
yeah. So yeah.
So when you look at like The Shining, just as an example, um, kind of a little bit of a slow burn
Oh yeah.
as the story goes. When you say that, I mean it's kind of a slow burn.
Oh yeah.
It's not like pure chaos until like toward the end,
Hmm.
third act. Like there's hints galore of problems, things going awry. Jack Torrance losing his mind. There's a lot of that like building throughout the whole story, but you're kind of going, well, he's a former alcoholic. He might already be even a little bit crazy.
Hmm.
So it's I think it's a little bit up in the air. But by the end, like, because it's a pretty long story. I mean, what is about 2.5 hours, probably at least.
Yes, it's definitely over 2 hours. I don't off the
I'd
top of
say
my head.
almost
I don't know.
knocking on three. I know it's at least two. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's pretty long. Yeah, and the
he's
book's
just
not that long.
building in there, and like the story just keeps building and building until it's like, okay, and now he's gone completely crazy.
Yeah,
And that's like really that hinge moment, I think, in a way where, oh, this guy could totally go after his family.
yeah.
And then he does.
See again, it's like it's hard to look at it with like fresh eyes because like I had seen the twin girls get in other media, like as a parody, right? Like
Right.
the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
Good call.
Shining instead of The Shining, or.
Right.
So it was just I I appreciated it more the older I got, right? Because I'd seen it when I was way too young, and I'd seen everything, uh, you know, like the woman in the bathtub, like who hasn't, like that's
Scary.
right. So
Scary.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember like my babysitter when I was probably like 7 years old watching that, and me like sneaking out and like peeking, and
Wow.
like so It's so it holds a special place in my heart. Same with the It miniseries. The same babysitter watching that. And yeah, and
That's
I was
funny.
young. I was young. I was very young. Yeah. But,
Wow. Um. So, yeah, you got The Shining. That's definitely one of your top from probably from seeing it when you were way too young.
yeah. Well, it's just a great. It's just a great movie. I mean, it's Stanley Kubrick, and he doesn't waste anything. Everything is deliberate in every shot,
Yeah.
and the music, like the opening shot with that crazy music, and they're driving up the
The
mountain.
helicopter. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's one of my all-time favorite movies. So
I still remember the first time I saw that one. I was like, wow, this is like, it's got everything in it.
yeah,
It has, it's essentially it's a ghost story, but it's also like very real
yeah.
with the cabin fever,
Hmm.
losing sanity kind of theme. Yeah, there's a lot in that movie. There's so much in that
It's
movie.
so good. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, I love it.
yeah,
Yeah, it like gets to you after it's over too. Like it gets under your skin a bit, for me personally, and I think of that music and the cut, the shots of the blood
yeah.
flowing out of the elevator and down the
Right,
halls. I actually
right.
saw that in theaters, maybe like 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. It was really
Wow.
cool. Yeah, they had like a showing at the Cinemark. It was very cool.
That would be really unique on the big screen because you notice
Yes.
more things.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
notice more. You're like,
It
"Ooh,
was great.
that
Yeah,
door is huge now. Ooh, look
yeah.
at it. That there's
A,
stuff
ti-
on
a
that door or
tidal
whatever."
wave of blood.
Yeah,
Is
that's
crazy.
awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That sounds like so much fun. Um, so and you mentioned The Thing, which
Yes.
is kind of X-Files to me.
Yeah. You think so? It's definitely more alien
Well,
horror,
again, it's all
right?
context, right? Because, like you said,
Yeah.
you saw this movie when you were younger. You saw the movie way before the book. I saw the X-Files episode that I kid you not, they just ripped off The Thing.
Oh, really?
They're up in Antarctica. There's an
Oh, yes,
alien,
yes. I have seen that one.
right? It's like an
Yeah.
alien ooze, maybe on the loose,
Yeah.
and people are dying left and right. And I'm like, that's just X-Files. What is that? And that's why in my mind, yeah,
Don't they
that's why
have
I'm
to
thinking.
test? Don't they have to test? They don't test their blood. They test like their urine or something or something crazy. I don't
There's
know.
something they test. Yes, I
Yeah.
can't remember because I've seen it's been
Yeah.
20 years since I've probably seen that episode, but
Yeah.
it stuck with me with the whole isolation,
Mhm.
cold, and you're kind of in that one space. And that even
Yeah.
reminds me of Hateful Eight because I know that was strongly influenced by The Thing,
Really?
where
I mean, that
yeah,
makes sense.
Tarantino was like,
Like he's on
I'm
the
gonna,
record saying that.
yeah, he did, and it was like he said that straight up. He's like, I wanted it to be like The Thing, where you're all in one space and it's just tension and who did it, who is it, who is it. And he
Hmm.
even said that was the same with Reservoir Dogs, which makes
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah.
where it's like, you're the bad guy. No, you're the bad guy. No, and it's just an interesting dynamic from a story perspective when you're like, the audience is the one deciding, like, oh, that's off. Oh, I think you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you are. Oh
You start
wait,
to get you start to get paranoid with the characters in a way, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and especially like context of like, if are they drinking? Well, that could affect how they're acting.
Hmm.
Are they, eating poison stew or something? That
Yeah. Right.
changes things, right? There's a whole like, it's almost like you've already set the table and anything else you add on to it makes it even more exciting. You're just adding to that tension by
Yeah.
default.
I do love that kind of horror. Like I would say, like The Mist is also kind of like that.
Ooh.
Which The Mist is a great movie and a great story, and not too long either. But yeah, The mist, you have the outside threat, like they can't leave the grocery store, right? They can't go into the mist, right? There's something in the mist. But inside, they start like start going at each other's throats. They start getting like cabin fever. They start to like, have you seen it?
No, I haven't,
Oh.
and I'm like, ooh, like I've heard of the fog way more than I've heard of the mist.
The mist,
just
and the
going
mist
through.
has a crazy ending. Like way, it's different than the book.
It sounds
or
good.
The story. It's crazy, but they start to like the characters in the grocery store. They start to split, and like one is like a religious like zealot, like see what God's doing to us,
Yeah.
The other are like they're more like level-headed, and they're like we have to get out of here. We have to find a way out. We have to get help, and it works really well. Not to talk about Stephen King too much, but yeah, that's Stephen King.
That happens by default. You can't
right?
help it. It's like breathing. You're like, nah. No. All right, not Stephen King, but also ironically, it is John Carpenter, and we were just talking about the thing. Halloween,
Classic.
Especially the very first one.
The first one, and
yeah,
yes, absolute classic.
Like,
love it.
The music,
yeah,
the visuals, the creepiness. There's not even like a lot of action.
No, like the kills aren't specifically that crazy either.
It's more shadows, and like I remember the most memorable scene is really in the shadows, like with Laurie Strode and like Michael Myers just popping up in this image. You're like, whoa. It's like that is the most memorable part, and it's like atmosphere, tone, the creepy murdering guy wandering around plain sight, bothering people in schools and on the sidewalks.
That's such a good movie, because it's Halloween night. You can walk around with a mask and no one's gonna think any different, even if you are 6'8" and you're covered and you smell like dead bodies or something. But it's just, oh man, yeah, it's great. I love that movie. I like the second one a lot too. I think because it takes place the same night, right?
Right.
When she goes to the hospital. But I think as with most slasher franchises, it gets worse as it goes on.
Very true.
It's been a long time since I've seen the sequels. I watched Halloween 3 a few years ago, and I had never seen it before because Michael Myers isn't in it.
Right, I've never seen it because of that. I'm just like, meh.
Yeah, it's good. I would prefer Michael Myers, but people love it. People swear by that movie. The third one, The Season of the Witch.
A little bit of a sleeper in the Halloween franchise.
Yeah, but then I also have like a soft spot for like H2O, and then the one after that, Resurrection, because Busta Rhymes is in it, and he's like, I remember
Busta
that. Rhymes.
I think it might be. Is that the one that's on like videotape?
Yes, like they're like filming the house or something.
He kicks him. Yeah,
he does like some crazy like kung fu. So I have a soft spot for that. Especially because I remember one birthday I got some money, and I went into FYE, and I just bought a bunch of Halloween, it was mostly slasher. Like I know I had a whole set of the Nightmare on Elm Street movie on VHS.
Yep.
And on the side of the cassette, each one was a piece of Freddy Krueger, and it was like him like with his arms out really long, like he does in the first one where he's coming down the. I wish I had that. I bet it's worth some money. My grandma might, honestly.
Probably has it. I have a feeling that didn't get tossed.
No, yeah. So yeah, I do have a soft spot for slashers, but only because I liked them so much as a kid. I think as I get older, I like more of the tone and the dread and the stuff that gets under your skin. Like recently, Hereditary. I was like, wow, not recent. That was like 7 years ago, I think that came out. That movie. I watched it and I wasn't scared watching it, but I remember coming home and laying in bed at night, and my phone charger came out of the wall, and it was like
freaking.
And I was like, oh, do I really need to charge my phone? I don't need to put my hand.
Want to move?
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I like stuff like that that gets, under your skin.
You know it's effective when you're like, man, I should have watched that during the day and not watched it at night.
Yes, yes, yeah.
I that makes me laugh because I the first time I saw the newer It, I watched it way too late and I was like doing some laundry and I was freaked out waiting for a jump scare
Yeah,
because there's so many in that
there
first
is.
It.
Yeah,
It's like, and I enjoyed it. I really did, but I was like, you're on edge by default with that one. You're
yeah,
just like waiting for something to jump at
yeah,
you. And
yeah,
it's it's kind of wild because then you're all like worked up and you're just like, what did I just hear? What did I just hear?
yeah.
And even like in the last week, I mentioned this to you, I think before, but I watched this silly, like right in the middle between thriller and horror movie where it was called Hider in the House.
Yeah, you did mention
And it
that.
was like Nick Nolte's living in somebody's attic. And it was like, it was pretty wild because he would come and go all the freaking time. Well, I was working at my co-working space and I kept hearing random things at night, like footsteps, things
Oh my
knocking, and
gosh.
I'm like, and I'm looking around going, hello, 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 and I'm breaking out the phone with the flashlight, going,
Oh my gosh.
hello,
Were
and
you
it's
by
just
yourself?
me. Oh, of
Oh, it's
course,
just
by
you.
myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like 10:30 or something, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, I think I gotta go.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
See, you're doing better than a lot of horror movie characters, right? Like, what's that strange noise? Oh, let's go check it out. And then, it's like that
I did
commercial
check
that
it
was
out a
on.
little bit just in case
Yeah.
because I think the odds of a homeless person potentially being in the co-working space are they're definitely not zero.
Yeah. True.
Knowing that the doors sometimes don't lock, that makes it extra exciting. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So,
Yeah.
but I realize that one of my favorite tropes of all like scary movies and horror, I love that cat and mouse thing. I love the chase. I
Mhm.
love the, you know, big threat versus this person who's on the run. And it's just that's a thing there's something about it. It's almost David versus Goliath kind of thing. And I love it in so many stories as long as it's like an interesting fight, not like, you know, as long as it's not like, Rambo. If it's Rambo kind
Yeah.
of thing, it's not interesting. It's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, that enemy's chasing after Rambo. I wonder what will happen.
Yeah. Kind of
you
like
know?
the original like Predator with Arnold and uh, uh Carl Weathers. They're all
Uh-huh.
these like jacked. Like I didn't worry for them at all. Like,
No, I mean, Arnold.
yeah.
Nothing's gonna happen,
Right.
Arnold. But if it was like, smaller guys, heck, even Tom Cruise or something like that, he's probably not gonna die, but an alien could definitely
Yeah.
he's gonna do a lot more to Tom Cruise than he would Arnold. So, you know.
Man, Tom Cruise should do some horror. I know he did like the Mummy movie, like the remake. They were trying to make like a shared Universal Monsters universe, but I never saw it. But it
I
seemed more
didn't either.
action
I didn't either.
than
And I used to be the biggest Tom Cruise fan, but at a certain point I was like, I don't really need to. That's okay.
yeah. He did a like Interview with the Vampire, which is a good movie. It's not
It's
like
not really horror.
no, but yeah, but good
Kind of
movie though.
yeah, it's
It's vampires.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot going on in that one. There's so much going on, I think, is part of it.
Yeah.
You
Well, he did
know?
Eyes Wide Shut as well, which isn't like you wouldn't call that horror, but it is kind of a
Thriller to me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's
So that
he's
yeah,
really
there's
just
a
never
lot of
done the
toeing the
horror.
line. Yeah, he's an action movie star, man. He knows what works.
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think here more recently. I was pretty spooked by the long walk because I'm like, there's no way this ends well. That was
Yeah,
really spooky to me because I was like, seriously, this could be just total gloom.
I mean, it
You know
was
what I mean?
almost like realistic. Like I feel like we're not that far away from there being like a show like that, and people like tune in every week,
I feel like you're
which is
right.
scary. Which is scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it definitely was gloomy. I mean, I don't know if I call it scary though. And I love the book. I read the book, and what makes the book shine and the movie did really well was the interactions with the characters and like like they just met each other and
But
it's
they
like
quickly become
yeah,
friends, and
yeah. In the face of tragedy, they kind of band together, even though they're against each other. It's very interesting.
it's almost like an army movie
Yeah,
where they're all at least cordial, more often buddy buddy, all against the one common enemy.
yeah,
And in such a tragic moment, you can unite and get closer together. Like it's accelerated.
yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised it scared you though. Like,
It's well, I you didn't know who was going to get it next. I guess
yeah,
is what it was, and I didn't want everyone to die.
yeah. There can only be one, right?
That's a weird feeling, knowing that it's. I mean, like it was such a different tone because, like Final Destination, you know everybody's going to get it, or a good
Yeah,
percentage of the people are gonna get killed. But with the Long Walk, you're kind of like, I really don't know here. It's there's no
yeah,
predecessor to a story like that where you're kind of like, I have no idea here.
yeah, yeah. I don't like. Okay, well, not to get off topic, but I really don't like the Final Destination movies. I
Not a
don't.
fan, huh?
I've only walked out of one movie in my life, and it was one of the Final Destinations. It was like 2008 or something. So whenever that one was.
Oh, a sequel.
Yeah, I walked out and went to see. I think it was The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds and like
It's Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock. Yeah, and like Betty White. I know it
Yeah,
was good. I walked in like 15 minutes late, but I really ended up enjoying that movie.
little rom
Surprised.
com ain't gonna
Yeah,
hurt
yeah,
nobody,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I don't like those movies. Another one I don't like is Saw. Yeah, weirdly, I'm not a gore person. I'm not a big fan of gore. Like I can stomach it and I can watch it, but I'm just not. I'm just not into gore. And so, like when I write my books, I don't have a lot of gore. Like if I do, it kind of catches you off guard because there hasn't been so far. And excluding the zombie books, you have to have gore in zombie
That's
stuff.
fair.
So,
Nature of the
but like
beast.
the
Yeah,
newer stuff, yeah, the
yeah.
newer stuff, I don't. But yeah,
Is that something you figured out kind of over time? You're just like, I don't really dig gore. I'm gonna sprinkle it in randomly a little here and there, but like,
I don't know honestly because growing up, I loved the slasher movies, and those are pretty gory, by design. Uh, but as I got older, I just kind of didn't. It didn't do anything for me. Like, so people love these Terrifier movies with Art
I've not
McCall.
seen any of them. So yeah, I've heard they're
I watched
extreme.
the I watched the first one. It is very extreme,
Yeah.
very. And I mean, I enjoyed the movie as a whole, but like when the second one came out, and they're like, "Oh, it's even bloodier than the first," I was like, "How? How can you
Like,
do that? There's
dude,
not enough fake blood in the world. Like, are they really killing these people?"
there's not
So,
enough fake blood in the world.
right?
Right,
Like
dude.
they're keeping the fake blood industry in business.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. Yeah, I just as I got older, I didn't love it as much.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes it's more what you don't see
Yes.
is scarier than what you do see. And if it
Yes.
looks fake, or even with practical effects, or,
Yeah.
all the bells and whistles you can use, it almost could just take you out of it and be like, nah, no, no, nah.
Yeah.
And that's,
100%. Yeah.
it's, you think you saw something, but you didn't. But it's more camera tricks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, when you're reading a book and they don't show the monster right away. You start imagining the monster. You start doing like the mental work and I feel like most people uh, will come up with something way worse than I could write, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I like that a lot in horror. That's one of the things that has always drawn me to the genre, I guess. And like the Mist, I think is pretty good with this. But eventually, you do see what's out in the mist. But there's a lot of like, what is it? You know, why is it? What is it? You know, like you
That's
get
the
it.
driver. Yeah.
Yeah. And then at the end, when you finally, do see more of what's in the mist, you're like, whoa, like, well, personally, I thought what I could come up with was worse, and then they kind of, so when they do knock it out of the park, like the mist does, in my opinion, you're like,
Yeah.
wow, I didn't imagine that. That's cool. Like that's very cool and scary. Like I like what dimension did these things come from? You know?
I feel like M. Night Shyamalan has done that a lot. Like, what is it? What is it? You think it's this. You think it's this. Like, that's kind of his bread and butter to an extent
Yeah.
with the shock, like in Signs,
Like the
especially.
village. The village was kind of one I thought it fell flat a bit.
Sure. Because
You know,
they're either going to hit a home run or,
yeah.
anything less than a home run's kind of, yeah.
But you got to swing for the fences. So I do respect that. Like even if
Mhm.
it does fall flat, like he had one movie called like The Happening, I think, with Mark Wahlberg, and it was
Yes,
like
I
the
remember that.
planes.
I haven't seen it, but yeah, I remember
It,
it.
it was like a cool concept, but it didn't. I didn't think I don't know what it was. It just didn't hit for
It
me.
was like weird things going on all over the world, like
Yeah,
every
like the
bird dying or
the
whatever,
plants
right?
were doing it somehow, or yeah. I've only seen it once. It's been a while, but
You're like, I don't even remember any of that.
yeah, I just remember coming away like,
Okay.
wait, he went for it, but it didn't, fly ball.
You mentioned, I think, Weapons. You not a fan?
Oh,
Not
well,
a fan at all.
I've only seen it once. I
I
want
know
to
a lot of
watch it
people love
again.
it. I haven't seen it because I'm not as
People
horror
really do love that movie,
attracted
and
as you.
yeah, people love that movie, and they're entitled to their opinions. Right? Who am I? It's a well-made movie. I don't know. I was too hyped. It was, or like the hype was too much, and I didn't live up to my expectations. And I gotta know that by now. Like, don't
Right.
don't
Just
believe the
manage your
hype.
expectations all the
Yes,
way.
yes,
If everyone's saying it's great, say, okay, this will be mediocre. I'm aiming for
yeah,
that.
yeah. There's been a couple movies recently. Nosferatu, the new one, very beautiful looking film. And it's basically Dracula, like the story of Dracula.
Hmm.
I didn't like it. I, I, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but again, the hype was too high. Weapons was another one, and then last year, I think, or 2 years ago, Long Legs.
Yeah.
That the hype for that was, I thought
It
that
was
would be,
extremely high.
yes, and I went into that and I came out and I was like,
No?
what? No, but then I watched it again and
Better?
I liked it just because I knew what to expect now. Like there's a kind of it goes off course a little bit, and at first I was expecting more of like a Seven type movie,
Hmm.
detective against a sadistic serial killer, but then it kind of takes a detour, and the second time I enjoyed it more because I could look at it through that lens. I'm not trying not to spoil anything because
Right.
it's
Well, I
fairly
appreciate that.
new.
That's
Yeah,
nice of you.
yeah. Have you seen it?
Uh, no, I haven't. I,
Oh man, I'm
I've been
surprised.
on the fence because I'm kind of like I almost feel like I saw too much
Yeah,
of the previews and kind of I will at some point probably, but my expectations went from very high to now kind of like I'm
yeah,
honestly just tempted just to rewatch Seven as opposed to watching
yeah. I
Legs.
mean, Seven's a classic. Seven's
Right? I'm
a
like,
great
there's
movie.
so much in that. I'm like, I
Yeah,
could probably just enjoy the other. And you know, Fincher really did hit a home run there. Um, he's so good at tone. Like he he can really hit
he
some home
is
runs.
very talented. He's
Like
one of the best working directors. I think.
Like, don't you think? I mean, like, I would say he's probably the best out there. The question is, what is the material? Because he doesn't write it himself.
Yeah,
It's not it's not a directing question. It's like, well, what is the movie about?
yeah,
Right?
yeah. He's doing the new he's doing like the sequel to Once Upon a Time in
Yeah, the
Hollywood.
stuntman, maybe something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, the
Cliff
Brad Pitt's
Booth.
character. Yeah, and Quentin Tarantino wrote it, so I think I mean, that could be really good. Or I don't
I
know.
don't know. I mean,
Do they mesh is the thing. Like, does a,
that's exactly where I'm kind
yeah,
of like that. One's very serious and dark. The other's a little more
yeah,
quirky.
yeah. But he wrote From Dusk Till Dawn, right? Quentin Tarantino. I'm pretty sure he wrote
I know
that.
Robert Rodriguez directed it. I
Yeah.
think Quentin wrote it. Um, I bet Robert Rodriguez helped write it too because it's
Oh
such
yeah.
a two different movies kind of going, here
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Um, that one, I've only ever seen that one once, and I was like, that was cool, that was wild, but I don't know if I really want to see it again
Well,
as
so like
much.
I think it's a good movie, but it's very carried by the twist, right? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
shift.
exactly.
And once
And
you
it's like halfway, right? Isn't it roughly?
yeah, and I knew that going in, so it kind of which is, but if I saw it in theaters when it came out, I'd been like, "Whoa, wait,
Right,
what?" So
right.
it's kind of hard
That
to
makes me
judge
think
it.
of Psycho, where the twist is such a huge part of the whole
Yeah,
experience, the ending, and like, shifting protagonists or shifting stories completely.
yeah. That's
Um,
on my list, by the way.
I
Psycho.
know it is. You mentioned that.
Oh, I did. Okay,
You
yeah.
did. You mentioned it. Psycho is is quite fascinating because it was like, just from what I've read and heard about, it's like they barely could get it by past the censors.
Yes,
They were like running
that's
commercials like
crazy.
saying, don't share the ending, do not share the ending. um People used to go to the movies way later and like just show up randomly in the middle of it, not like at the scheduled start times.
Yeah,
And it's really interesting the more I look at that, and I'm kind of going, wow, like that was pretty wild that they were able to do all they were, especially in the 60s.
yeah. Didn't that come
And
out in 1960? Like exactly,
I
or is
want
it
to say
in?
it was a couple years, maybe
Is it?
63.
Huh. I mean, still, that's
No.
my think of all these
Right.
all these people back then. They're like, what? Who am
Yeah.
I? What? That's
It
based on a book, right?
Yeah, I think it's Robert Bloch,
Yeah,
maybe. Is that right?
yeah.
Um
No, 1960. It came out in
60.
1960.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I was thinking 63, but yeah, 60. Okay, so you're only like 4 years past Elvis coming in, and breaking
yeah.
through. You know, that's that was a
Yeah,
different world back
that's
then, I'm
ahead of its
sure.
time. Let me tell you, because you watch it today and it holds up, and you know
For
that's
black and white, right?
yeah, I
And
feel like you can't say that about a lot of movies like that. But I can watch that and be glued to the TV the whole time. If it can stop me from doom scrolling, it's A plus, right? Seriously, there you go. Put it on a T-shirt.
stop me from doom scrolling.
Yeah,
Let me ask you this, getting psychological here. Buckle up. Yeah, we want to be entertained, no doubt. But what is it that do you think draws us in? Specifically you as far as like, okay, I'm going to watch this terrible tragedy unfold.
yeah.
Go.
So I think part of it is I think there's a sense of like I think not to get like philosophically deep, but I think we are naturally like voyeurs. Like you go by a
Yeah.
bad car crash, you're trying to see the
What
bad stuff.
happened?
Yeah, you're
You
like
want to see what happened?
you can't take your eyes away. And with movies and books, there is a degree of separation that we're still safe, but we're participating in something dangerous in a way, like, right? Like we're watching Michael Myers stalk Laurie Strode, but he can't come through the TV and get me. He can't come through the movie screen and get me. Same with the words on the page aren't going to jump out and go boo, right? So there's something I think voyeuristic about horror, and I think there is something. It's almost like blowing off steam in a way.
Mm-hmm.
For me, Jason slashes up a bunch of
getting rid of some rage
counselors, and I'm like, you're rooting for him. It's interesting. Yeah, basically that.
You're right. I could see that. I mean, especially, can you imagine if like Jason were to attack somebody who is a terrible driver? Everyone's like cheering.
Yeah.
Like, that's right. Use your turn signal.
You might be onto something there.
Go at it. You know what I mean? It's like you justify it. Be like, idiot, should have used your turn signal.
Right? Like in the slasher movies, one of the tropes is these teenagers are partaking in drugs and
drugs and sex and rock and roll.
Yeah, right. And so like they're doomed. So like the final girl, she's the one who's not doing that, right? Usually,
right?
She's really the good one,
There's a moral lesson. Don't do these or you die. Essentially.
I've also heard. I don't know where I heard this, but comedy and being scared, horror, like they have like the same kind of tension release, right? Like.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're in the theater and something scary happens and everyone starts laughing, after like the jump scare, right? It's loud noise, cat runs across the screen and everyone's like, but then they start laughing after because it's like, so there's something there as well. I'd have to think about it more, but I definitely think it's a voyeuristic and almost Lancing a Boyle type thing. Like you're watching it on. You're getting all the bad stuff out.
What an analogy!
Yeah,
that's an analogy.
That's
right
not.
there.
I've heard that. That might have been Stephen King, or
it probably was.
Yeah. So I'm not going to take credit for that one, but yeah. Well, that's how I feel writing it. Right, like it's therapeutic, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean,
we're
taking stuff that we see, or hear, or experience, or meshing it together with, had this over here, time passed, this is a little blurry, hey, it fits with this other thing over here.
Yeah.
I mean, I just watched Mr. Mercedes, the first season of that show, and I'm like,
oh wow, you went through the whole first season?
I plowed through it in like 2 days.
Wow.
I was like, I will just watch Stephen King's goodness, just go. Yeah. And I remember his interviews. He's like, yeah, I saw this news story about this guy in a Mercedes, or I think it might have even been in a Mercedes. It was like he saw this news story.
It was like at a McDonald's or something, right? He drove through like
it was something like that.
McDonald's or something. It wasn't a job fair,
it wasn't a job fair, but the whole like main concept of a serial killer that would do that, running a bunch of people over, was straight up from a news story that he like saw on the TV in a hotel. And I'm going, wow, to think he took this little kernel.
Yeah.
And then it just kept popping. And it was like,
it became a trilogy, but then one of the characters from that trilogy, Holly, is now like
took over.
She has like 8 books or 7 books.
She's his muse.
Dark Tower, yeah.
He really, really likes her.
He loves Holly. He said recently that he's doing the Talisman 3, and then he has another Holly book, and then after that he doesn't know. So it's like, oh, is he retiring? But he's like fake retired. Like, I don't think he can not write is the thing. So if he can write, they're gonna publish it, right? It's Stephen King. He's guaranteed money.
Plus, he could always go more crime. He could always.
He's been doing a lot. Yeah, doing a lot of crime.
He could always go back to horror.
Yeah.
So I love what you said about kind of that voyeuristic view. The audience is witnessing a tragedy, a
Yeah,
crime, a
but you're
situation,
safe. You know,
but you're safe.
it's not your house that's haunted and your child that's possessed. It's someone
Right.
else's. So it's entertainment. It's not a tragedy for you. It's entertainment.
I think there's something too that's so familiar about certain horror tropes that we kind of, you put a little twist on it and all of a sudden it's even more magical because
Hmm.
it's like a remix of it. But, the haunted house, that's been done many, many times, countless. You know, the having little kids makes you that much more vulnerable as a parent. The kids themselves are very vulnerable.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like it stokes the fire in you. You're already more invested by default because, they have a baby or even better yet, a toddler that's walking around getting into everything.
yeah,
Um, so there's certain elements you're, and I'm kind of picking on you here as a horror writer. You have these already in your day-to-day life, but you already have them baked into your brain from all the other stories that you've consumed. I can see how it's like there's a lot of room to play. And that's probably why it's so instinctual for you to kind of go play with horror and, oh, this is unexpected. Something supernatural is coming in. This isn't a
yeah,
ghost story. This is a alien story or something that's not even as easily identifiable as an alien or a ghost. It might
yeah,
be something else. And you can kind of just keep playing with it where, dare I say, some westerns or crime novels, I feel like, good guy, bad guy. It becomes a little more
yeah,
straight up.
yeah. I do love horror, especially writing horror for that reason is because I can get weird. I can get super weird. I mean, monsters from another dimension, that's weird, right? But that's a staple. Like H.P. Lovecraft, you know, wrote a whole freaking he had a whole like a universe of these monsters that if a normal person looked at them, it would turn you wouldn't be able to comprehend it. You'd go insane. And so what I love is that the readers are pretty open. Like, you know, I can I could write I can mess with the tropes a lot. And there's a lot of genres that you can't. Like romance for one, you have to have the happily ever after. Like if you don't have the happily ever after, the readers get
Totally.
very mad and they won't pick up your stuff again or
Yeah.
yeah, So I do love that about horror.
I I know I'm going to story nerd out on you for a split second here, but I was thinking like even the Odyssey, like Cyclops, that's just freaking weird.
It is weird.
Monsters,
Yeah.
mythology, like these are all really they're common to us now, but imagine back in the day when you said Cyclops, they're like, what the hell, huh?
A
And you're,
giant with one eye?
yeah, exactly. And then it gets like weirder and weirder, and you're
Yeah.
like, all these different creatures and ideas. I can see how in some ways it's almost just more creative because you could say, oh, well, it's a vampire book, but guess what? You know, they don't have the traditional weaknesses or,
Yeah.
you know, there's so many little twists where you can just kind of play with it. And all of a sudden it's like, this started out as a vampire book, but now it's more zombie. You
Yeah.
could see
Yeah.
it's an easy transition. It's not
Well, like
like
what's the difference between a vampire and a zombie, right? Besides a
one's more
zombie.
romantic, right?
Yeah, a zombie can go out in daylight, but a vampire can't. But they're both the undead, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of cool because you can kind of play and just wherever the spirit moves you, so to speak, on that, where you can kind of be like, heck yeah, you can put zombies in there. That's just a variation of the vampires that have, done something different. Or, what if some of the aliens become zombies or whatever? You can play and try and do things that, and I think that the interesting part is like, well, what if you don't even explain it that much?
I think
This
I personally like that better. Like,
really,
I don't, and I get some flack sometimes where I don't, I mean, I tie up loose ends, but, I don't have to tell you what this monster is or why it's terrorizing people. I mean, it's a monster. Is that like? I think that's good enough. Some people don't. Some people do, but
Well, most of the world has not been explored, especially the part that's mostly ocean. It's like
yes,
it's the percentages are crazy when you look at it
yeah,
and you go, well, why would we have any explanation for
yeah.
these things that
Some of the stuff that's at the bottom of the ocean, I don't. It would. I think it would make us go crazy if we saw it. It's very Lovecraftian, and he did a lot of that actually. Stuff out in the oceans and the water and
makes you have a whole newfound respect for those that like stayed on the boats and lived on the boats and
right. Yeah, I mean,
didn't die on the boats.
so much. There's a lot of like sirens, right?
Yeah,
Sirens, crazy. That's a these, these people are getting cabin fever out in the middle of the ocean, right? And they're coming up,
clearly.
but maybe they're not. Maybe they did see sirens.
Maybe they were hearing the noises and then they just thought they were seeing the
Yeah,
sirens.
you fill in the blanks, right? It's
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I was going to say something else about horror. I can't remember though.
I think you're right though. It's kind of like sometimes you don't want to fill in all the blanks and you can still make it a satisfying story where
Hmm.
there's some, you know, what happens next insinuated, and it's it's almost like the Twilight Zone, really, where
Yeah,
you can be like,
yeah,
this is this little standalone one-off thing, and does it happen again?
yeah,
Wait and find out.
yeah. Uh, um,
Maybe.
we haven't really talked about horror books as much, but one of my all-time favorite horror books, I would call it horror, is Bird Box. I think
Ooh,
I think that is a lovely, scary novel. It's one of the only novels that gave me nightmares
really?
to the point where I was screaming in sleep, and I woke up my wife, and she had to like shake me. She's like, "What are you okay?" And I was like, I was because like I don't know if you're familiar with the concept, but
Oh, yeah.
there's these creatures that invade our world, and if you look upon them, you go crazy and you start hurting yourself, doing
It's a
crazy things.
great premise. It's
Yeah,
great.
so he never has to describe the creatures because you, as the reader, are
Filling it in.
yes.
Yep.
And so in my nightmare, I remember vividly, I had this image of what I thought the creatures looked like while I was reading the book, and they were
Tax
in my
accountants.
nightmare. Right?
The IRS.
Yeah. Yeah, the IRS, the politician, you know.
Yes.
Um,
All of the above.
and it scared me, and I was like probably 25 at the time or something, and I'm over here screaming in my sleep, and
Your wife has to console you.
yeah, she was no, I think she was scared, like because I
You're
don't,
losing your mind.
yeah,
Is the
yeah,
first time.
yes, um, so yeah, but that book does it so well, that fear of the unknown, and I think the fear of the unknown is so it gets you in the heart and the brain, and it's very effective because as humans, the
Yeah.
fear of the unknown, like I mean, cavemen, they
Yeah.
didn't know, like
They didn't have Google back then. No.
yeah, right.
They
The
had
fear
no
of the
idea.
unknown,
No
man.
dictionaries, nothing. All word of mouth. And by the way, a whole lot of that would have just been, you know,
Yeah,
making up stuff around campfires. So,
yeah.
yeah, a lot of fiction going on there. Do you think that Bird Box is kind of the same idea as like Quiet Place?
Um,
I haven't
it's
seen those,
it's
but I've
it's
heard
it's
them. It's
similar.
similar idea.
It's yeah, yeah. I mean,
What kind of genre would you call these in horror within?
mm, so
Natural phenomena?
it would be
Like,
I think they would lean
ooh,
post-apocalyptic horror, a supernatural apocalypse, which is what I call, my
okay.
Whiteout series. That's like the subtitle. And but well, with A Quiet Place movies, they had like a spin-off kind of recently called like Day One or something. and
Okay.
it
I haven't
shows.
seen it. I'm just asking because I thought the premise was very Bird Box, essentially.
Well, it's like Bird Box. You gotta
Can't
cover your
see, can't
eyes.
talk, very
Yeah.
sensory
So yeah.
based.
Um, yeah, it's similar definitely, but I would say A Quiet Place. I think they just kind of it leans more alien
Hmm.
than like they kind of came from some distant, planet, galaxy, and yeah, I don't know. Well, Bird Box, what makes Bird Box lean more horror for me is because it's not as explained. I've never seen
Mm.
the movie. There's a sequel book, and I read it, and they do explain a little bit more. And I kind of didn't like that. I was like, I don't need to know. It's effective without me knowing, but I know people do like to know, so I get it.
It's
But
almost
yeah,
like magic tricks. Do you want to see how it's actually done or just
exactly.
enjoy the
Yes,
trick?
yes, exactly. Yeah,
And it's almost like if you see how it's done, then you just like, oh, well, just practice it 1,000 times, and anyone can do that.
yeah,
It's
right.
kind of debunks it, doesn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I would say A Quiet Place. The first one, if they just stopped at the first one, uh, I would say that would be more horror, and I would almost be like maybe it's supernatural.
Sure.
But the deeper they get in the franchise, the more explanations you get, and it kind of turns it. But I do like those movies a lot.
I would like it if it was uh, kind of how X Files did it, where you'd get some information, but then it turns out it wasn't even true. That makes it even more interesting. You're like, wait, what? No, wait, what
Yeah,
is it? What happened? And yeah, it can get convoluted. Is the problem, but
yeah,
it's kind of interesting when you think it's reliable and then it's not. It's like an extra like little shift, and you're like, oh wait, whoa, and it can almost add to the whole inner story, if you will.
yeah. So like when it comes to world building, I think horror, you don't have to world build as much. Like as
Mhm.
opposed to like a fantasy, like fantasy readers, they want that. They want to know who the king was 1800 years ago and why he got executed or why he started a war
Mhm.
or or why the queen, whatever. Um, so I feel like when you do that in horror, when you start to over explain, it loses some of its magic or what would draw someone like me to it.
Mhm.
Yeah. But
do you do you think a lot of horror, like the really effective stuff that hits you hard, them has you waking up your wife screaming in the middle of the night? um
that was unprecedented.
I know. I
I've
think that
never
was a
done
fluke.
that.
I
I'm
think that was a
very
fluke.
seasoned. Yeah.
But do you think a lot of it's based in like certain core fears, as far as like, okay, The Shining we mentioned, you getting attacked by your loved one. That would, I mean, in some
Yes.
ways, that's more scary than any other option on the whole
Yeah.
map, right? Because it's so not supernatural. But some of these others, it's like, oh, I'm going on vacation and then got abducted, whatever, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's very effective playing on those base fears we have, like the fear of the dark, the fear of. I mean, Bird Box. The fear. It does kind of come down to the fear of the dark. You can't see, even though it might
It's
be bright
good,
sunlight out, but you have the blindfold on because
right?
you can't look at
Fear
these
of the
creatures.
unknown.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
fear of the unknown. And
yeah.
I would say that about like Jaws, right? Like like it's a shark, but you don't. You,
See, it's a
the
way
shark
into that
is
thing.
yes, it's yeah. I mean, the ocean is scary. Like I think
Yeah,
the ocean is
seriously.
terrifying. So yeah, I think playing on the base fears is a really good way to uh, have an effective horror story. And really, I mean, I think this is true about a lot of writing. Is just keep it simple, right?
Mm.
Keep it simple. So like my Whiteout books, they did really well. And I think that the premise is very simple. It's summertime and there's a blizzard. There's blizzards all over the world, right? Like, I don't think that's that crazy of an idea. Like, I mean, it's
Sure.
crazy, but like, I don't think I didn't really think too hard about that. I just thought, hey, what if it started snowing and 90-degree weather, like right, like when it should be 90-degree weather, right?
Hmm.
So I don't know. It's just yeah.
It's
Keep it
that
simple.
what if, that important question. What if? What
Yeah,
if
what
this?
if
What
is
if?
a great tool for writers. Yeah, what if.
Some of these we've also mentioned are a little bit fish out of water. Like you're in a totally different context. You're the sheriff of, Shark City, and you have to take care of this shark
Yeah.
on the water, and you're scared to swim. You're scared of the water. It's like, oh, already you're that core fear thing.
Hmm.
So it's it's always the stakes that we're really trying to get at here.
Yeah.
Um, Not only would the sheriff, Brody, disappoint himself, he would disappoint the entire town and put them all at risk, which that's kind of
Yeah.
his arc, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's like,
Right.
overcome this because I got to.
He
Um,
left. He left like New York to come to a nice, you know, New England town, and now he's dealing with
Resort town, yeah, it was supposed to
yeah,
be
something
easy.
way worse than New York ever could give him, right?
Right, right. So playing around with those fears is huge. Is that now for you though? Like when you're coming up with new stories, I know you're kind of like, yeah, keep it simple. Hey, I'm gonna do the traditional werewolf, witches, vampires, zombies, whatever. You kind of also just say, hey, let's let's do this genre here. Let's hit this specific character.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
mean,
is that pretty much how you roll at it?
well, there is a ton of options, right? So it's I just want to see like yeah, you like for my Carver series, I did the werewolf, I did the witches, and then I did in the third book we hit there was a vampire, there was a little bit of vampire part, and then did just paranormal ghost possession type deal, and I just like kind of want to challenge myself to see how I can make it different. How can I twist the trope?
Yeah.
Because I mean, they're tried and true. People love vampires, they love witches, they love paranormal, supernatural experiences, and it's just how can I change it up, but also keep it true to the trope in a way. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't, and that's writing. That's how I feel. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. One thing about you is you never hesitate to be like, this isn't working. I'm gonna go do something
No,
different.
I think I've written so much. I'm sure I said this in the first time I was on the show,
Mhm.
but I've written so much to where like I know when
You know
it's
when
not
it's
gonna.
working and when it's not.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I'm gonna.
But for if there's any new writers watching this and you haven't written many novel length or longer pieces, you have to see it through at first before you can figure out that it's not working. I think.
I think
Uh,
you can fix it,
I don't.
especially newer
I,
writers. Not talking
well,
to you, Flint, because you're too
yeah.
stubborn.
I,
You're
I
like,
don't
no,
think
this is my approach.
I don't think you can fix it, but it's just a matter of do you want to put all that time and
And
energy
that's
into fixing
exactly
it?
it for you. You're like, kind of like, I can probably do this faster if I go here, but I could spend the time to work on this and
I
you know
think
grind it
I've done
out.
I've done it. Like I've fixed things I thought weren't working. Recently, The Caretaker came
Mhm.
out like last fall.
Okay.
Um, I I didn't think it was working, but I pushed through, and then I pushed through all the editing and pushed through all the suggestions, and I think in the end it was good. It was serviceable, but if I could go back in time, I wouldn't. I would have started over, or if I really wanted to tell that story, I would have done it. But everyone's different. Don't I'm not giving tried and true advice. You know, I mean,
That's
it's not
honesty.
easy. Writing's sitting finishing a novel. That's a commitment. So I get why you would want to fix it because you committed all this time. But I don't know. I think with each piece you finish, though, you do get better, even if it sucks. even if what you write sucks, you do get better. You do learn something along the way. It's just impossible not to.
Sometimes you learn what not to do.
Exactly. Well, it's like, reading a bad book. Like so many writers were like, "Yeah, I read this book and I thought it was terrible," and I thought to myself, "Hey, I could do better than that." And then they go out and they do better than that.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
yeah, there's good things and bad things. Like there's good things in the bad things
Right?
if you look at it the right way. Yeah.
What advice would you give to me? Because I keep getting pulled toward that fine line of thriller slash horror. And I'm like, I've started one and I'm like, this is going to be a thriller. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I kind of am at that point right now where we're talking about, where it's like, I'm 30,000 words in going, there's a few good ideas in here. There's
Yeah.
a whole lot of mess in here. Well, I mean, because scrapping it all together is not really my style. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm kind of like, leave it in the back burner, let it sit and brew and think about it and, kind of come back to it.
I mean, you're trying something new, right? This
It's
is
fair.
even the way you're writing it is new. You're
First person, yes. Female character, first person.
and you're not outlining it, right? This is more you have like
Loosely, very
not,
loosely. Like the general idea is what I'm doing. I don't
so
outline much, honestly. I really don't, because I think it's a waste of time, personally. I really do. I don't think line by line, beat by beat, I don't think it works that way
yeah.
until you're at a certain point. I'm thinking big, big moments, key moments, not.
Yeah, the set pieces, right?
Yeah, that's the way to put it. Like, every story only really has like 6 main parts, really, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Beginning, break into Act 2A, midpoint, Act 2B, break into 3, ending. I mean, that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. I'm trying to iron each of those out as much as I can, but it changes.
So my advice for you is, because this is new, this is kind of you're outside of your comfort zone, is you have to see it. I think you have to see it through so you can learn what went wrong.
Yeah.
That would be my advice. And
that's fair.
Once you learn what went wrong, if you're going to go back and do it again, you can adjust, or you could even take your normal routine, your outlining and whatnot, and then take that into this new genre and this new perspective. And
Yeah.
I think one thing that's very important, and I learned this from the self-publishing guys, Sean and
Johnny B. Truant, yeah.
Johnny and Dave, is that you when you're doing something new, you need to like steep yourself in that genre, right? In which I know you do. I know you are reading thriller, psychological.
Too
thriller.
much Frida.
Yeah,
Frida McFadden.
and then even movies and TV shows like Mr. Mercedes is very cat and mouse.
Yeah.
It is psychological thriller, I would say, more than horror, or more crime than horror. And yeah. So
see, to me, it's almost 3 in 1.
Yeah.
Crime, thriller, definitely some horror in there. I mean, yeah, definitely some horror in there.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say a while ago. So
yeah,
horror is like it's inescapable. It's in everything. It really is. Even if something's not horror, there are horror attributes in most stories, I would say. Like, I mean, I think the first Harry Potter, right? There's that 3-headed dog that's guarding the Philosopher's Stone or the Sorcerer's Stone. That thing is terrifying. Like, think of right? Like there is horror.
It's fair.
They go out into the dark forest, and there's the thing that drinks the unicorn's blood. Like, there is horror in a lot of things. Now, you wouldn't call it horror, you'd call it like a young adult fantasy, but it's everywhere. whether we like it or not.
I just had a flashback of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That poor little shoe, and
Right?
you know what I'm
I
saying?
haven't
I'm
seen
like
it in a while.
that
I
was
love that
like
movie.
traumatic and horror and uh Doc Brown, the actor who plays Doc Brown in Back to the
Yeah,
Future.
Christopher
He
Lloyd.
thank you, Christopher Lloyd. He's the bad guy, the
Yeah,
judge character, and he's scary as heck. And yeah, horror isn't everything. It's mixed in, and
it is. Yeah.
it absolutely is. I mean, heck, even Indiana Jones has some crazy horror
Oh yeah.
elements in there,
I mean, it's an old movie, right? So I can spoil, but the end where their faces are melting, right?
right?
Of the first one, and the
Right.
second one, I think the second one is like it's very close to just horror. Like,
Straight up,
guy rips the guy's heart out, dude.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
I mean,
yeah,
that's throw in some monkey brains, and yeah,
yeah.
it's
Killed monkey
definitely
brains.
that
Yeah. It's
direction.
exciting. Like we love that. It's scary, but because it's scary, we get excited about it and we want to watch it. We're drawn to it in a way.
I think it's that train wreck voyeuristic
Yes.
thing,
Yeah.
and we're also craving something out of the norm. If we were gonna make a story, Spencer, of your day to day and my day to day, sure we have interesting days here and there, but let's be honest, most of the time it's pretty, a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
And so we're
I
wanting
don't know. I
something.
changed some diapers today that were just straight horror.
That's fair too.
Yeah.
But every parent has gone through
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah. But yeah, no. I think it's very very prevalent. Horror is very, I mean, like Lord of the Rings, like those movies. There's some scary, like I remember being
yeah.
pretty young and being really afraid of the ring wraiths, the guys in the black hoods who like screeched and they couldn't see, they could only smell, and they were chasing Frodo and looking for the ring. And I remember being very scared of those. And yeah, fantasy. I think fantasy has a lot of horror in it that people don't acknowledge enough. But yeah, it's another conversation.
That's why you keep wanting to play that direction with new works. See?
Yeah, I mean, I love The Dark Tower, and that's Stephen King,
Yep.
and there's a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of dark stuff in it because it's Stephen King and it's, The Dark Tower, right? But there is a lot of just, tropes from fantasy, like the hero's journey, or the mythical aspect
Yeah.
of it. That's I'm always drawn to personally, and it's weird, man. It gets weird. That series is very weird, and it does a lot of stuff I don't think could ever be filmed,
Mm-hmm.
or not well, at least. Like, we don't talk about the Dark Tower movie, but I almost think it would be better as like an anime or like a
Yeah, that makes sense. That
animated
really does.
feature, because then you're not as limited on what you can do, and you're not
Right.
taken down by bad CGI.
Right.
Yeah.
When you're hinging on tech, it's
Yeah.
never going to last well. It's not going
Yeah,
to
I
end
mean, like
well.
look at the thing from 1982.
All
Those
practical effects.
they
Yep.
look so good to this day. I just watched it, and it just looks so good. And if they did that with CGI of the time, like I don't even know if there was CGI of the time back then, right? But
Yeah.
like, yeah, it just you wouldn't want to watch it. It would take you out. Like the bad CGI takes you out of the film. It breaks that
It's
immersion.
so obvious, and like it usually becomes laughable. You're like, wow, that was once good. What?
Yeah,
So,
right. Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you so much. We're getting over an hour here. You're the longest
yeah.
guest too. You're not
Oh
only a
wow.
repeat, you're the longest.
Well, I can talk about horror all day. You know
I
this.
know you
Yeah.
can.
I can talk about stories all day.
Thank you so much. Any new books on the horizon? I know your last one that you had.
Oh no.
I want to say it was The Cabin of Nowhere.
Yeah, that
Jelly,
was.
right?
Yes. Yep. That was.
Okay.
I think that was March. So it's been a while. I've kind of been in a rut. You know that. Trying to figure out what to do, and I'm dabbling here and there, starting stuff and not finishing it.
Bird Box.
like do something like Bird Box?
I didn't say that. I think
Did-
the idea just dropped from me over
I
the
mean, I do naturally go towards. I naturally go towards horror, and I naturally go towards.
post-apocalyptic.
I do because when you end the world, you don't have to abide by rules when
No
you're writing.
laws, no
Yeah,
cops, no
yeah, it's
courts,
great. I love
nothing.
that. So
That's
yeah, we'll
why I did
see.
Western. See, I was like, this, do
Yeah,
whatever you want.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I have the itch to write. I just haven't been
You
finishing.
do have some new audiobooks coming. That's worth
I do,
mentioning.
yeah. The Carver series. There's 3 books. Those are all coming out. They honestly one might have came out already. But I know it's like the next 3 months. Those are coming out, and then the Cabin of Nowhere series. Those are both getting turned into audiobooks with Tantor, and I just picked the narrator for those like last week. So it'll be a while before they're finished, but coming out.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for being with me. I will include the links to your website, your books. If people want to get a hold of you and get in touch with you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks for having me, man. Anytime. I
You
have a
bet.
good time on here.
Love it.
All right.